Hello, and welcome back to the AWAP Podcast, DME edition, Drama Ministry edition, where I go over the A's to Z's on how to create a foundationally sound drama ministry. So, we're going to get started, pick up where we left off at Chapter 8 with set designs and costumes. So we've previously talked about this kind of a little bit faster. It was intertwined with other things and kind of how to bring the whole production together. And now we're going to give it its own space and kind of move forward that way. So if you don't already have it with you, you can go ahead and pause the video, click on the link in the description box, and you can download your copy immediately and begin to take the journey with us. Otherwise, you might want to get out a pen and paper or just, click rewind on the things that you need to rehear. And that way, you're following along with us, and, you can have your tips in there and pointers. Some things maybe some things maybe you don't know already. But that way you can go ahead and have it all in one spot. So when you're going to take action, you're not searching around for, oh, I think I remember this, but you're writing notes. So if you would like to do that, go ahead and do that now. It is an immediate download, like I stated before, and we'll be here when you get back. But for those of us who are ready to go, let's go ahead and get started, right? So, designing sets and costumes for your drama ministry is a creative process that enhances the visual and thematic aspects of your performances. Well designed sets and costumes can significantly contribute to the overall impact of your production. And here's a more detailed explanation of how to design sets and costumes for your drama ministry. So before we get into the actual, okay, if you have the budget for this, if maybe you guys have been going at this a year or so, and now you want to take it up to that next level where you can get a designer, you can get a couple artists in there to be like, okay, this is what we're doing for this. This is what we want everything to look like. This is how it's going to come together. Before that, if you cannot afford to draw out and have your designs sewn up and put together, Um, I would say that is okay. Start right where you are. So we know that in closets, there's things that we can use depending on the pieces we're trying to do. I know that when I was filming in Petaluma for a film, and it was an 80s kind of theme. Okay. So I could go down to the local store, I could go to the Dollar Tree, I could go and look what's in my closet, the colorful things, and make it expressed as if I were in that time period for that piece. Funny thing about that, when we got there, it was not a late 80s, but it was still more in the end of the 70s era before it got to the 80s. So we had to do a full wardrobe change because obviously those two things are very different when, talking about the 70s and then moving into the 80s with all the colors and all the different things that they have. So being precise on the actual time period is something that you want to know. So you want to make sure that you're in the right realm of things. And sometimes we get it wrong. Thankfully, there's, set design. They have hair and makeup, costume, everything was on set. So it was a quick change for them to kind of tone down some of the things and the heavy eye makeup and the the different things that we did with our hair, and kind of reverting it back to, okay, we need a more of an end of the 70s, maybe 76, 77, 78, instead of a full blown 80s, theme. So having an understanding of what's going on, making sure you're projecting those experiences of what's needed precisely. So, but again, we're starting out, if we have $0 in our hand, can we pull this off, right? Yes, we can. Now, this that I'm going to give you in just a second is more of an advanced look at things when you're ready to take it there. But starting out, Find whatever's in your closet, find whatever's in your church. Like, see what things are not in use anymore, because some of our churches have been around for quite a long time and they may have things there that we can pull from. If you've done any kind of anything in the past, maybe those can be used, maybe tailored just a bit to fit whatever you're trying to pull off right now. Or tell the people, hey, this is your character. I need you to develop it, get the costume and like the clothing and the jewelry or the whatever goes along with that. And so they're practicing character development, right? Don't put it all on your shoulders, because you don't have to do that. You know what I mean? Don't make this be like, well, we only have a $50 budget. So how in the world are we going to get costumes? People already have a wardrobe, right? Do what needs to be done in order to keep it to where it's financially sound. Don't go into debt over any of these, because it's not necessary. You do have everything that you need. And even if you don't have all the fancy background things, when your characters have been developed and they're believable on a level of, this is the truth and this is my truth in this moment, you don't really need all of the background. Yes, it's good aesthetics. Yes, it's good for visual presentation, but you can do it with them just standing there being connecting. You know what I mean? Because their dialogue, what they're talking about is so real. Like when the mimes, and when they're doing the praise dances, it's like there's not a big background to that, if ever, right? It's just the music. So we have audio and we have visual of the characters portraying whatever it is. They don't need a sunrise in the back to show that, the sunrise, right? They themselves become the working art. So again, keep that in mind. Don't go into debt over trying to do a good job. You will do a good job and it'll be more personal. And when you're ready to expand and to go higher, and you're like, okay, this is what we're doing now, there's a way to do that. None of this should cause you any debt, right? It should be willing souls. You know what I mean? And yeah, as an actress, I have worked for food. I have been like, hey, you're going to get this food. We're going to feed you well. We just need you to show up and do this for us, right? Because we're little, we're just starting out, and it gives me practice, and I'm like, okay, I can do that for that, because I need the practice. So when they're motivated and they're like, you know what, I do need the practice. I do need to understand how to do this. I am new to this. So why do I expect to be, you know, offered these mega $1 million deals when I don't have experience? So, and plus, it's for family, it's for kingdom building. And some of us just have that nudge of wanting to be able to show the word physically, to show what may have happened, like with Daniel in the lion's den. And I don't know, I think that's my favorite because it makes just more sense to me of God has fully equipped you with what you need, no matter if anybody else knows it. You know what I'm saying? And that, I don't know, that's why that one sticks with me a lot. But let's get into this, right? Number one, understanding the script. Familiarize yourself with the script setting, scenes, and requirements. The design should reflect the mood, the tone, and the themes of the story. Number two, collaborate with the team. Work closely with your production team, including directors, set designers, and technical crew, to brainstorm ideas and ensure everyone is aligned. Again, making sure that everybody's on the same page, so that they're not thinking a whole different era when, nope, this is what we need. Number three, create a concept. Develop a creative concept or theme for the set design. Consider using symbolism, colors, and visual elements to enhance the story's message. So the background is only enhancing the story's message. Start right where you are. Number four, sketch or create renderings. So creating sketches or digital renderings of the set design to visualize how it will look on stage helps to communicate your idea to the production team. But again, your hands work well. Your words work well. I want a plant to go right here as you're pointing to down stage right, and I want to make sure that in the center there's nothing so there can be movement, but around the edges, we want to make sure that the flowers are coming up out of the ground as if we're standing in the grass. You can talk and say those things. These come later. These things are going to be more for when you're ready to, maybe you're going to be shooting this, you're going to be filming, and you want everything to be aesthetically clear on where you are, what's going on in that scene, and the mood of everything, right? So, number 5, consider practicality. Um, Design sets that are practical and functional for the actors and crew. Ensure that props and set pieces can be moved and adjusted easily during performances. So, as we talked about it before, when you're doing the set design, and maybe it's going to be a change of scenery for Act Two, and then also that means we have a costume change. We want to make it as simple as possible for us to flow so that when they're going off the stage, they're coming out of the clothes, they're putting on the clothes, they're coming back on the stage, right? And it's fluid. It's not something that takes a whole lot of time, or maybe they have a good 3-4 minutes to go back there and to actually change out, right? So we want to make sure that there's a clear place for them to go, separating the males and the female, depending on what type of costume change is needed, what they're wearing underneath their garments, and then how long it takes to do such things, because we want to make sure that there's privacy. We want to make sure that it's included in that everything is going to be done with respect, right? So don't so just and I want to say, like, maybe there's a green room, two green rooms, right? And they're always wearing maybe a leotard, or they're always wearing some kind of undergarment, t-shirt, shorts, or whatever it might be, so that when they go back there and change, they can get in and out of it quickly. They're not worrying about revealing too much of themselves, and it can be done and everybody can keep moving along. And there's hangers and numbers, probably, depending on what you would like to do. And with that number system, it's like, okay, this is for your change one, for your change two, and kind of keep it separate like that. And then you also have who is the making sure that everything is in order for who the character is and what they need to do when they're changing into this. So your stage manager and assistants are going to be very important into saying, no, 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 that's not for you. This is yours, and keeping everything organized and in order. Da, 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 da. Number 6, balance realism and abstraction. So decide whether you want a realistic set or a more abstract representation. The level of detail should match the tone of the style of the production. And again, that's according to your vision for your themed message and what you would like. Number 7, incorporate light and sound. Plan how lighting and sound will interact with the set. Coordinate with the technician team to enhance the visual and auditory aspects of the performance. So again, we talked about this before when we're bringing everything together. So you want to not only have rehearsal with the cast, but with everything that's affiliated with that production. And maybe there's going to be separate individual um, rehearsals, but that you have plenty that are all together so everyone understands what's going on. Number 8, budget considerations. Design sets within your budget constraints. For the people in the back, back. Design sets with your budget constraints. Be creative in finding cost-effective solutions for constructing and decorating the set. Me, personally, I like to use tarps, backdrops that are easy to move, easy to set up, and can be changed out real quick. There are the props where it'll look like an apartment something kind of complex. There's ones where it just looks like maybe a kitchen or a living room. Maybe at Christmas time, there's a tree, and depending on where the scenes take place and how you want to do that, you don't really have to change the scene so much into such a big production. And you can have it like even on a spinning little Lazy Susan, it would be a more grandiose one because you would actually have that scene on one side, right? And then at the bottom, it's like a spinning something. So when you're ready to change scenes, all you have to do is turn it around, right? So then you have this the production, the scene on the other side, right? So, and then that would take a lot of foliage in the front of the stage in order to conceal maybe about an inch off the ground so that no one can see that there's a turning something that they have to do, or kind of like how you do a Christmas tree at Christmas time and you put the tarp around the bottom of the tree, something to kind of hide and be decorated. And then maybe that's all you have to undo when it's time to change the scene. And maybe there's several scenes. One may be outside, the other one's going to be in the house. So that's where most of everything is going to take place. So then you can turn that according to what scene is coming up. Very easy to do. Make sure you have curtains that can come down in the front so no one can see that you're changing the scene if you have to do that. Or you make it a very generic scene of maybe on one side there's an apartment looking something with a home decor for a kitchen or for a living room or for whatever you need it for. And then going down the stage a little bit more, there's going to be where their outside is taking place. And then maybe there's like a little seating area for a park or whatever you would like it to be. So therefore you don't have to change the scene at all. It's just where the character is moving in the scene is what scene is being focused on at that time. So again, you can do this however you need to make it work. There are no wrong answers. And when you're looking through your eyes of your vision, you can figure that out and say, okay, so I know we're going to go to this in scene two, but we really don't need to change anything. They just need to move over like they're outside in the front of the house. And then make that, the way that it goes. So, number 8, budget considerations is what we just went over, right? Design sets with your budget constraints. Be creative in finding cost-effective solutions for constructing and decorating the set. Okay, so build and assemble. So coordinating the construction and assembly of the set pieces. Enlist the help of volunteers or professionals who can bring your design to life. So now this would be a more, I'm doing air quotes, permanent set if you only just need one. Okay. So if you're just doing, maybe your whole thing is going to be in front of, maybe downstage, upstage, but this is the scene that it needs to be. And so we want to have a good wooden stable something. And the one that comes to mind is like a Romeo and Juliet, where they have a really solid scene, and she's on the balcony and they're doing the Romeo, Where Art Thou, Romeo, that one, right? And it's like they have a solid scene there and they're going to be there for a while. And there's going to be a lot of things that take place in that area of the stage in that scene. So it's something they can have a little more permanent. It doesn't have to be moved. Like once it's there till the end of the show, that kind of thing. Or you can even have whatever that permanent structure is and is going to be maybe for the climax of the show, but in front of it you have backdrops that come down so no one can see it, and maybe you have 2 to 3 layers of backdrops that look like certain things. So maybe it's looking like you're outside of a house, so that backdrop is of a house, or it's a scene of a park, or you're in a zoo, or it's a lake, depending on what it is and how big you need it, right? So it's like having those layers of scenes. So what you're going to do, I know they have these poles, and then they have like I have a couple myself that I use. And so they have the frames, and you can use these little clips to hold up your curtain or to hold up your backdrop, right? So if you have the option of having something come from the ceiling, you can actually have that backdrop be lowered and then rolled up and have maybe 3 or 4 layers. So we know for scene one, this one has to be down. When we're going into scene two, we're going to roll that one up and then it's going to show the next one. And then when we're doing scene three, we're going to roll that one up and it's going to show the next one. And then for our grandiose is the solid structure that's going to be there behind all of those things. So it just depends on what you would like to do and how you want it to be seen. But there's a lot of ways to do those and put them in place so that when it's time to do them, it's easy to change it out. Again, any questions, awapzone.com, and you can ask me. Or we can kind of go through it and you can show me pictures of what you have and what you're working with. And then we can figure out something. Um, I also offer where I do workshops, and these are actor workshops, and they're full day from 10 to 4. Lunch is catered, but I go through and show how to do team study, character building. I give you a notebook with all the dialogue if you were on set or on stage, um, and how to kind of professionally put things together. And mostly it's focused on your acting abilities. So teaching you the technical things, how to freeze properly so that it looks real and you can still breathe and you're not suffocating yourself, but you have your muscles and your emotions under your control so that you can stay in that position for an elongated amount of time, depending on what you would have to do. I know, I don't want to name anybody else's productions, but people have done, I mean, it has made such an impact when you understand how to control your body in a manner that is not natural to you. Right? Because we're used to being in motion. We're used to, okay, I'm following through with this motion. If I'm putting my hand up and I'm talking to you, and I'm going to put my hand back down when I'm done, right? And we don't usually, okay, let me stay here for a minute, right? And then how do I stay there and not move? Because now I'm starting to get itchy all over. Now all of a sudden I got to sneeze for no reason, all these different things, but to show you how to have full control of those things. Um, I get off subject a lot and easily. Number 10, test during rehearsal. So test the set during rehearsals to ensure that everything functions as intended and doesn't hinder the actor's movements or visibility. So, and that is safe because we don't want to have a whole bunch of stuff up there on stage and they're so into their character that they forget and they either fall off the stage, they trip over something, then they have to play it off. Like, let's make sure we're doing a good job. And then that means they'll have to know their blocking and know the stage directions and where they need to go. And again, all this is included in the package where I do the drama ministry workshops. So you would learn how to do all that, learn stage directions, scene study, and how to interact with your partner on stage, right? So there's a lot that comes with that. Again, you can go over to the website and look that up. And then any questions, let me know. This is what I'm here for. So designing costumes. Okin dokin. Let's see. Character analysis. So analyze each character's personality, background, and role in the story. Costumes should reflect these characteristics and contribute to character development. So I want to say for this part, take the pressure off of yourself as a drama ministry leader, as the director, right? Take this pressure off of yourself and give it to the actor. They are going to need this. Okay? They are going to need to understand the full effects of what it takes for proper character development. So, them choosing, and again, we go through this study on proper character development, to choose what is necessary and what is appropriate and what is in line with who their character is. Right? They need that. So, and they need to be able to express themselves creatively as well. So, let's say, okay, let's say, for example, Eve, if we're doing Adam and Eve in the garden, right? If we're saying, okay, we need your costume for Eve, when you do the round table, um, when you're going over you're reading the script, right? And because they should come to the, okay, so they should come to the table. You should have given them parts, right? You give them their parts, they study those parts, they start creating the character, they start developing the character into, based on the actions and things that are going to come up in the storyline. This is who my character is, and these are the reasons why. right? So then when you're giving them those directions or they're seeing them and reading them, because everyone should read through the entire script, no matter what their part is, so that they understand the dynamics and the fullness thereof, right? So when they're going through this, from the paper that they get from the workshop, they should be saying, okay, well, I need to do this. And have I looked into my character's background and what is their upbringing? What was that like? And are they come from a household with two parents or one parent? Were they living in poverty? How did they have fun? And all the different things of trying to create that scene of why the character makes the decisions they make, right? And this is all the background work. This is what shows up when we're on set and we're like, well, we're nonchalant about this. Of course, someone who's like that would make a decision like this, right? So we turn it back on them. Your job when you're doing the read is to say, oh, why don't we tweak that down a bit? Or why don't we raise up the level of enthusiasm? Or whatever that might be. But the responsibility should be left to the actor. And then you go in and you're saying, okay, I like this, but let's add this. Or I don't like this, so let's put this in that place and let's make that come together, right? Because not only do they get to have that kind of um, input from the director, but they also get to say, oh, well, let me see how I can change things a bit. Let me play with this until it feels right. But it's also meeting the expectation of the director, because that is the whole point, right? For the actor to bring the director's vision to life. So we can't be so above ourselves and so into ourselves that we're like, oh, I don't need to change anything. It's perfect. It's perfect, right? We need to take that ego out of our throat and chest and arms and set it to the side. Because when we're doing a production, it's what is the ultimate goal. And the ultimate goal is the vision of the director. So when you understand those things and you go into a production knowing that I'm here to assist, right? And we know that what we're doing, right? The understanding, the foundational understanding of what we're doing, and we're going into it with an open mind. That can be beautiful, and it can really take off. So don't hold back from the vision that you have in putting this together, and also have that relationship with your actors that, hey guys, I want to see what you can bring to the table. And when I'm giving you a suggestion or I'm asking you to change something, I hope you're open to it because this is a collaborative effort. Um, so number 2, collaborate with designers. Again, when you get to the stage, work with costume designers or team members responsible for costumes. Share your vision and collaborate on creating the right look for each character. So we've talked about this a lot because it's very important. Number 3, research and inspiration. Research the time period, culture, and setting of the story for accurate costume inspiration. Adapt historical elements to suit your creative vision. So when you're going over, okay, this is what we're bringing to the table, and you're handing out the scripts, you kind of giving a background on this is the time period we're in, this is what was going on at this time, and then this is what we're trying to show and bring to life. So then everyone is again on the same page. Then it gets to number 4, colors and fabrics. Choose colors and fabrics that align with the character and the overall aesthetic of the production. Consider textures and materials that add depth to the costume. Number 5, and again, don't have all the responsibility on you. You're there, you say this is what the character is, this is who this is. Hopefully they can grab that from what they're reading in the script, and then you say, okay, I like where you're going with that, but how about this? Or you're like, whoa, I didn't even think of that, that's perfect. You know what I mean? But your feedback is important either way, because you don't want to hold back and not want to hurt somebody's feelings, but then it's not turning out how you want it to turn out, so then you're upset, right? So be honest, and that's okay. Make sure there's a foundation set that this is going to be honest, like, and we're all capable of handling that information. Number 5, comfort and movement. Prioritize the comfort and mobility of the actors. Costumes should allow them to move freely and perform effectively on stage. Can I just say, as an actress, comfort is of the utmost importance to me, but it's not always available depending on what is trying to be done. So, to the best of your ability, make sure they can move how they need to move. They can get their lines out and they can go across that stage without harming themselves or others or being embarrassed because their footwork just was not together. Um, so, take that as you will. I love being comfortable, but sometimes I know that it's not always the ultimate goal. So make sure that that's known, and then they practice how to do what they need to do with what they're having. You know what I mean? So like if they're in a full costume of a tree, I mean, tell them to work it out and make sure they understand how they can and cannot move, what they should and should not do, and then, kind of make that fun atmosphere like, hey, yo, we ain't always going to be comfortable, but learn how to use your costume and how to get from point A to Z, from point A to B even, and then not to fall. So let's practice. You feel comfortable? You getting lightheaded? You good to go? You need some water or some air, depending on the different kind of costume or makeup or extra things that they have on. So yeah, that's important. Okay, Number 6, accessories and details. Pay attention to accessories and details that enhance the character's identity. Small elements like jewelry, hats, and shoes can make a significant difference. True. Number 7, coordinated look, excuse me. Ensure that the costumes are cohesive and fit well together as a group. This contributes to the visual harmony of the production, which I'm sure you're going to understand from your vision and what you want to see. And in that time, everybody dressed kind of like this, and made it all come together. Number 8, costume changes. Again, because sometimes it don't work out. And I want to make sure that you understand that this is a very important aspect, even though it's a behind the scenes thing. Plan for quick costume changes if needed. Design costumes that can be easily put on and taken off during scenes. Um, and again, because we don't want to have any issues. And if they don't have to change their clothes, if they don't have to change, but maybe a top and the bottom stays, whatever it needs to be, that's even better. Um, Yeah. So number 9, budget management. Work within your budget to source or create costumes. Consider repurposing existing items, borrowing, or renting to minimize costs. Like I stated before, go look through your closets. Don't make the responsibility on all of as a collective. And hey, this is your character. Bring to the table the things that your character would need. And boom, now you don't even have to have a budget for it because I'm sure they can find those things or in the church's basement or in their, storage room or something. There's something that they can use if they don't already have it. So be resourceful. You know what I mean? And maybe whoever your prop master is can help with that, with the costume designing. And well, they're going to need this because this is what they're doing. So they might need this or that. Let me see if I can find something too, right? And don't be above a thrift store. You know what I mean? Don't be above something that might have an older piece attached to it, depending on what you're looking for, right? So, yeah, be resourceful. And number 10, fittings and adjustments. Schedule costume fittings for the actors and make sure any necessary adjustments, costumes should fit properly and complement the actor's appearance. Excuse me, the actor's appearance. So, yes, to the extent of is it necessary? Because what if the scene calls for dirt on the face? That don't compliment nobody, right? But that's what's necessary. So, again, we're going to take that eagle out of our throat and we're going to set it to the side because you know what? Sometimes we got to look all dusty and busty and like to get the scene, the essence of the scene portrayed correctly. So they should be willing to have fun and jump in. And I'm not saying make full mud pies and throw them at each other, but depending on what it's called for. why not? Why not go that extra mile to get the real, make it so real? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why not do what's necessary to get it done and make it look how it's supposed to look, right? So, designing sets and costumes require creativity, attention to detail, and collaboration with your production team. When executed effectively, visually appealing sets and well crafted costumes enhance the audience's immersion of the story and contribute to the overall success of your drama ministry performance. So I hope that helps. And we are going to move right along to the next chapter. Again, if you have any questions, if you want to know more about the workshops that I provide across the US, and again, it's where we come to you, go to awapzone.com and you can see everything we have going on. And also, the prices and everything are there so that you can be aware of those things. And, you know, just a little background on who I am and what I've done. I wanted to put a little bit of that in there too, so you understand who I am. So if you haven't already downloaded the book, go ahead and do so in the link below. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.